Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. We're back to Hemant Mehta.
Shout out.
Army Chaplains PhD thesis, using the military to win Christian converts. And yes, this is exactly what it sounds like. It's actually worse than it sounds like from the headline. He's literally advocating for using the military to spread Christianity throughout the world, not just to military service members, but to the people in the countries that the military is sent to.
Yeah, while they're bombing them, while they're raping people there, they're
just imagine how this would play out if you replaced Christianity with Islam in this. Because there are Muslim troops. Would they be allowed to do a PhD thesis on using the army to spread Islam?
It's just, no. It's such a nightmare. It's such a nightmare, especially because we've become so accustomed to this type of thing that we're like, yeah, that's not great. And then we just kind of all move past it instead of realizing like how incredibly dangerous and scary it is that there are people out there that think this and that are trying to implement it, and we don't recognize it as a threat. I don't even know if threat is the right word, but like we don't recognize the fact that this is inherently flies in the face of what a secular pluralistic society is supposed to be.
He actually says later in the article that he's taking advantage of the fact that the military is pluralistic to get away with some of his stuff. One of the things that really stuck out to me was that we'll get to it. I'll get to it later. Don't let me forget this. But yeah, so first off, he's of the Southern Baptist Convention and he's a chaplain. So given the report that just came out, that means that statistically he's either a sexual predator or he knows a sexual predator. Statistically speaking. Or he's actively protecting them. But yeah, anyway, he did his PhD dissertation in missiology, which is the study of religious missions, usually Christian ones. And apparently he did his whole dissertation in 7 months, which is outrageously fast for a PhD dissertation.
Where did he go? Like Grace Bible Theological Seminary that had to get a letter of exemption from like the Department of Education? Like, how do you do that in 7 months?
Let's see. Does it say what school it was?
It's just nobody does that. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, you're same idea. Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary.
Yeah, checks out. Yeah, the fact that anybody can do this and then call themselves a doctor is just like a bleh.
Yeah, I have on more than one occasion considered getting a doctorate from a diploma mill, but I always end up not because I don't want to support them with my money.
Right, of course, yeah, but it drives me insane. These people, like the people that do this and then lord the term doctor over everyone, it's just like a circle jerk of mediocrity. Like, it's just so embarrassing for them personally. But the problem is that people don't actually know how a lot of these places are accredited, or if they're accredited, or like what it means to be accredited by a certain organization and not another.
Yeah.
And so it lends this idea of authority to folks who are like the most non-impressive people all time. Sorry.
Yeah. So he argues in his dissertation that Southern Baptists should work on planting biblically grounded churches near military installations so that they can later send these trained disciples on mission equipped to carry the gospel with them wherever they move or deploy to the ends of the earth. So he's literally advocating for using the army to spread Christianity, specifically Southern Baptist Christianity.
I sincerely mean this. Southern Baptists have no fucking idea what it means to be biblically sound.
I would agree with that.
They just don't. um, their idea of biblically sound is cherry picked, and also rooted in white supremacy. Hi, Jesus Christ. The Southern Baptist Convention happened because of slavery. These people promote, at least some of them, and it historically, the idea that Jesus was a white man with blue eyes. Like, what are
Oh,
y'all smoking?
even
Because I
even in
want
my
some.
super progressive gay loving church, we had the white Jesus picture hanging up everywhere.
But like they actually think, some of them actually think Jesus was a white man. Like if you talk to a lot of Christians, yeah, you'll see those kinds of pictures. They've been whitewashed, but if you kind of get into it, they'll be like, yeah, he was, from the Middle East. He probably had more like ruddy skin tone, right? But like
Yeah,
there are certain sects of the SBC that still think that Jesus was actually white.
that doesn't really surprise me all that much.
No, it's not surprising. It's just like,
Well,
why
what
is anyone listening to them?
what really drives me nuts here? So, a military chaplain is supposed to be able to not just perform their duties in their own religion. They're supposed to be
Yeah,
able to do it for other people's. Like, I always think like Father Mulcahy in MASH is like the perfect example of that because he's a Catholic priest, but he had no
right,
problem setting that aside and performing a Buddhist wedding. Or
right.
he got a rabbi on the radio and was performing a bris, which I
Hmm.
have different feelings about that episode now than when I was a Christian. It was like, no, leave that baby's foreskin alone. But
Right, yeah.
the idea, like, still the idea is he's putting his religion aside in order to fulfill his duty as an army chaplain for this
Yes.
service member who is not the same religion as him. And that's what an army chaplain is supposed to be able to do. And like this guy does not do like I'm going to skip
No, of course he's not.
skip down
I
a
mean,
little bit.
so I know a certain someone who I will not name at this moment, who was a prison chaplain for some time. And he was a Christian, evangelical. Uh, y'all might know who I'm talking about. But anyway, and he, like the guy who led the sort of program at the prison, the sort of religious whatever, I don't know what to call it, who oversaw the chaplaincy, was a Christian. And so even though he was obligated to provide sort of like the fundamentals for each person's religion, like
Yeah.
if you are a part of, if you're a Muslim, then they needed to provide you with like a mat, right, to pray on. And they would pick the like least comfortable, cheapest, just like worst sort of fabric, whatever you want to call it, for those mats because they just thought that religion was
The wrong one.
basically satanic,
Yeah.
right? And wrong and yada, yada, yada. And so it's like, yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I know obviously the military and prison are different, but
Yeah.
like, it, it's the same idea, right? If you're going to become a chaplain where you're supposed to be able to minister or whatever, assist any religion, you actually need to have some respect for those other religions, even if you don't believe in them. And Christians absolutely, sorry, I know not all Christians, hashtag, do not respect other religions. And I honestly think you would be hard pressed unless you found some really progressive Christians, which exist, that genuinely respect other religions, um, and don't actually think like, yes, I respect that religion, but they're still going to hell. Like that's a very specific thing. Yes, there are progressive Christians that can do that and say that. I know, but largely, even among Christians that say they respect other religions, they still think they're fundamentally wrong and in need of saving.
Yeah. So back to Father Mulcahy. Eric Mishma
Sorry.
says, "Jocularity, jocularity." Love that episode. Fun fact: those episodes were either aired out of order or filmed out of order because they make jokes about Father Mulcahy's jocularity thing when they're all doing impressions of him before the jocularity incident that they were all making fun of happened. If you watch the episodes in the order that they are on the
That's funny.
DVDs, which I forget what that. I think
Um,
that might have been the time he got drunk on the communion wine and then gave a sermon on temperance.
so okay,
I
I'm
love
really
MASH.
scared to
Sorry.
admit this. I have never seen MASH.
It's good, but it was, you got to keep in mind that it was filmed in the 1970s, so there are some things where it's like, oh, that's kind of rapey. Don't do that.
I mean, I can't. So I grew up in the 90s and early in the 2000s. And like one of my favorite shows was Home Improvement. And I thought I was going to be like nostalgic and like watch some episodes. And I was horrified
Yeah.
when I saw how like homophobic and awful it was. I was like, nope, nope,
Yeah.
can't do this.
Well, that's the thing about MASH though, is that like it really was progressive. It's just like, make Hawkeye less rapey, please.
Yes, please,
Like,
please.
he doesn't need to be rapey. Like, everything else was great about it. It was just, and I think in the later seasons he got better with it. It's like the first seasons they're kind of trying to be like the movie, which of course has the famous scene where they have to check and see if Margaret's, if the bushes match the drapes, or no, the curtains
God.
match the drapes or whatever, so they pull down the
Yeah.
showers while she's at, and that was the movie. And I actually haven't been able to finish the movie because I don't find it funny at all. It's just boring.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I mean, it's a interesting discussion, which I know again off topic, but like when we think about how much can we excuse based on when it was made, right? Versus like it's just it's interesting because there are certain things that I look back on and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I could probably still watch that even though they had some problems. And there's other stuff that I watch and I'm like, ew. Like,
yeah,
gonna have to let that one go.
yeah. Well, I mean, I have most of the DVDs for MASH, so
I mean, it sounds overall like it's probably mostly fine.
it is. I think maybe if I watched it again, I would have a different opinion. It's been a while since I've seen it last, but
Yeah.
anyway. So Harrison, that's the guy that got his PhD. He sees the pluralistic. This is what we were talking about earlier. He sees the pluralistic nature of the military as an opportunity, saying this situation also offers access to people in need of the gospel. To him, non-Christian soldiers are nothing more than moving targets for Jesus. And then this is what really rankles me, is that he was asked to like, as a chaplain, he was asked to conduct a funeral for a Christian soldier who died in combat. Now, the soldier was Christian, but he was told that the funeral needs to be secular. And he responded by saying he couldn't in good conscience intentionally remove Christ from a memorial service for another Christian. And then his commander relented and said, well, if there's any consequences, you're going to deal with them, not me. So he just passed the buck. And that would have pissed me right the fuck off. Like,
Oh,
because I actually
yeah, I
remember
would've lit shit up.
so when my wife died, I had to explain what the word secular meant to our funeral director. She'd never heard it
God.
before. Now, thankfully, the person we ended up getting to do the service, she did a phenomenal job. It was amazing. But
It's
it's
just
still,
so annoying.
it was an awkward conversation to have as it was. But then
Right.
if the response had been, no, the person just gets up and preaches the gospel at us anyway, I would have been so fucking pissed.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, when someone dies, there should have to be no arguments. I'm going to tell you what they wanted or what I want or whatever, and then that's how it's going to go down. Because you didn't know that person, and unless they specifically said in their will, this, service must be X, Y, or Z, I don't know why I'm arguing with some stranger about how we're going to do a funeral service for someone that I knew and loved. Yeah, in fact, we're not going to argue about that. And if we do, you're not going to like it. Because I just lost someone very near and dear to me, and now you're making me justify the way that I want their memorial service done.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can fucking eat shit. But like the fact that then somebody would get up and based on their own personal stance, without knowing the person that's passed, out of complete disrespect for his family, because he thinks he knows what's best for other people. No.
Yeah.
I would have stood up in the middle of that service, taken his mic, and done it myself. Like, absolutely fucking not.
Yeah. Yeah, and we even got a couple comments afterwards from people that were at the funeral and were like, that was such a beautiful service for one that didn't mention God. And it's like, these are people that we kind of know but kind of didn't know.
Yeah.
So it's
All
like,
right. Well, tell me
okay,
then.
that's nice. Whatever.
Why did God allow this to happen?
Yeah, I wasn't about to do that there.
No, of course you weren't. And that's not like what you need to do. But like, generally speaking, the same people that want God included in everything have absolutely no answer when it comes to like, if God's in everything, why is all of this shit going to hell? Like, where is he in all of this? You just want him in the funeral services? Like, come on, dog.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
All right. No, it's all good. That's pretty much it. Hammett just goes into the thing about like if a Muslim chaplain were to do the same thing,
right?
That would be like national news.
It's a terrible, terrible double standard. Wildly hypocritical.
Jocularity! Jocularity!